good? The council meeting of September 20th, 2022 will now please come to order at 8:01 p.m. The audience is invited to join council in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Broussard.
Present.
Ms. Gilchrist.
Here.
Mr. Glassburn. Ms. Heeman. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Lippert.
Present.
Mr. Scarl.
Present.
Ms. Williamson.
Here.
If there are no additions or corrections, the special council meeting minutes of March 29th, 2022 are approved as written. And the following legislation is being considered for suspension of the rules this evening on first reading, Resolution 2022-82. Moving into reports, Mayor Daley Jones, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Mr. President, but before I begin my report, I'd like to ask our police chief to come up and join me with two new officers that we would like to swear in this evening.
Patrolman Robertson will be first, and then Patrolman Juergens second, for seniority purposes.
Please raise your right hand. Today, Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, you are being appointed as a police officer in the police department of the city of North Olmsted. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the constitutions of the United States and the state of Ohio, that you will endeavor to uphold the proudest traditions of police service with bravery, strength, diligence, and compassion for your fellow man, that you accept the responsibility of protecting our community and shall hold each life as precious as your own, and that you will never disgrace your badge, for it is a symbol of public trust, as you are a public servant and a proud professional police officer. To these do you swear and affirm to do?
I swear.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of North Olmsted, I hereby appoint you to the position of police officer of the North Olmsted Police Department. Congratulations. Please raise your right hand. Today, Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, you are being appointed as a police officer in the police department of the city of North Olmsted. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the constitutions of the United States and the state of Ohio, that you will endeavor to uphold the proudest traditions of police service with bravery, strength, diligence, and compassion for your fellow man, that you accept the responsibility of protecting our community and shall hold each life as precious as your own, and that you will never disgrace your badge, for it is a symbol of public trust, as you are a public servant and a proud professional police officer. To these do you swear and affirm to do?
I swear.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of North Olmsted, I hereby appoint you to the position of police officer with the North Olmsted Police Department. Congratulations.
Mayor? May I say a word?
Of course.
Real quick, thank you, Mayor, directors, council members. Just real quick, these two hires are the first on a long list of future swearing-ins that we hope to be taking place very soon. Nicholas Robertson here is a U.S. Army veteran. Thank you for your service. He comes to us from the Cleveland Police Department where he did several years, veteran officer, knows the streets, knows how to be a policeman. I expect him to perform very well in our field training program. We're very excited to have him. Mr. Juergens, probably the youngest person, if I had to guess, that we've ever hired in the history of North Olmsted. I think he just turned 21 a few weeks ago. May. Okay, so a little bit different end of the spectrum. However, he presented himself in his interview with the maturity of somebody that we would expect to be much older. Graduated towards the top of his class from Bowling Green State University with a 4-year bachelor's degree. Did a 400-hour internship with the Westlake Police Department, came highly recommended to us, and didn't disappoint in his interview. 3 weeks deep now in his academy at Tri-C, graduates in February, and we're super, super excited to have him. So we're going to invite the families back over to the police department now where you can take a tour, and we won't take up any more time. But thank you very much.
We're thinking trending to how to get to know where the big Walmart is. All the shoplifters at Walmart.
Mr. President and council members, Barton Road will be closed at the bridge from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Thursday, September 22nd for repair work. Due to this closure, the following roads will have their trash pickup prior to 7 a.m. and should have their canisters ready for pickup by 6 a.m. on Thursday, September 22nd. Barton, Josephine, Vita, Cinnamon Way, Ginger Lane, Sugar Sand, Iris, Lilac, Lily, and Willow Way. And Councilwoman Gilchrist, I can get you those written down too. Our condolences to the family of Jennifer Ilgakis, age 50, who passed away this past Sunday. Jennifer was the owner of multiple health-focused businesses, including North Olmsted Urgent Care. We extend our sympathies to her husband, known as Z, the towering center and two-time NBA All-Star whose jersey was retired by the Cleveland Cavs, in 2014. He played with the Cavaliers from 96 until 2010. Jennifer is survived by her 2 sons. Some good news. A 2019 North Olmsted High School graduate, Anna Scott, age 21, performed background vocals for Carrie Underwood for the Country Music Television Giants honoring Vince Gill Friday, September 16th. Scott has also performed background vocals for Russell Dickerson, a senior at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, where she is pursuing an undergraduate degree in music. Scott is the daughter of longtime North Olmsted residents Rich and Annette Scott. And another hometown girl making good, North Olmsted native Molly Carney has been named one of 4 new cast members of NBC's Saturday Night Live. Mark your calendars for Sunday, September 25th, when Pumpkinville in the Valley returns to the Frostville Museum. Hours will be from 11 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. From 5 until 8 p.m. this Thursday, the North Olmsted Senior Center will host a senior prom. I am told 53 tickets for the event have been sold so far, and the event includes dinner and dancing. The senior prom is sponsored by our Department of Recreation and Public Engagement. And we were pleased to take part in the grand opening of North Olmsted's newest business this afternoon. We cut the ribbon at Crumble Cookie today. They're located at 25102 Brook Park Road and specialize in gourmet cookies. Their selections rotate weekly. Just so that everyone here knows and can pass on to their residents, this Friday, September 23rd, is Free Cookie Day at their new location here in North Olmsted. It's on Friday, so don't leave the meeting yet. Okay. The Cleveland Housing Network will present a lunch and learn meeting regarding the senior home repair program at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, September 28th. Eligibility is based on certain income guidelines. A second similar session will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, October 12th at the North Olmsted branch of the Cuyahoga County Public Library. And finally, speaking of the library, I know that all of you will join me in congratulating Andrew Harant, former branch manager of the North Olmsted Public Library, in his new role as executive director of the Cuyahoga Falls Library, which he began earlier this month. And that, Mr. President, concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. And by the way, did anybody notice how quickly Officer Robertson's wife got that badge pinned on him? How quickly and efficiently?
She was practicing.
That was impressive. So, and my congrats also to Molly Carney. I perfectly understand where she gets her sense of humor from. Director of Law Garreau, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief note. Some time ago in 2021, I had advised you that the matter of Kelly Patrick versus Daniel Caceres, as well as a number of the City of North Olmsted and a number of defendants, including myself, we had successfully had that case removed. It was the latest in a number of actions that had been commenced by Ms. Patrick against the City of North Olmsted. Ms. Patrick has filed a motion for relief from judgment to have that her case that was dismissed, she seeks to have it reinstated. There was no appeal taken, but under 60B, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, she seeks, based on new evidence, to bring the case back. The same lawyers have been appointed. Insurance Defense Counsel takes this case, and they will be vigorously defending the judgment that they already got. So I expect that we will see the same result when the judge gets a hold of this. That's my expectation, and I will keep you advised of any further developments. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director. Director of Finance Coffer, do you have a report this evening?
Sorry. Microphone the wrong way. Well, at least we know Saturday Night Live is actually going to get funny again. The first item, we've held our Ohio Deferred Comp representative came to City Hall twice and also did various shifts at the fire station, police station, wastewater, and I think that's the only locations that they went out to. But he was very informative, and a lot of people had a lot of questions about the Roth option, as well as preparing to retire and the pre-tax option as well. So I thought it was great, and thank you, HR, for organizing the times and everything. We've had meetings on the South Interceptor EQ tank project that's going to be put on some of the property that we already own at Spruce, that we bought earlier or swapped earlier. And you'll see on the agenda, we talk primarily about a timeline and also ordinances, resolutions 86 and 87, because as we've gotten further into the project and what we wanted, what the mayor and her administration hopes to accomplish on the additional property and combining those properties, it is in our best interest to purchase mitigation credits for the wetlands versus remediating it and putting them all back to the way they were before. So that's why these are on the agenda, and we'll talk about those further in committee. We had meetings about the property appraisal for insurance purposes. We are awarding it tomorrow at the Board of Control. There were 2 bidders, and we will be moving forward with that very shortly to start the project. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director. Moving into council committee reports, Councilwoman Williamson, Chairwoman of the Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee. Do you have a report this evening?
I do not, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Limpert, Chairman of the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee. Do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Scarl, Vice Chairman of the Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings Committee. Do you have a report this evening?
No report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Limpert, Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee. Do you have a report this evening?
I do, Mr. President. Thank you. The Finance Committee met this evening, 20 September, at 7:40 p.m. Present were committee members Limpert and Williamson, also council members Broussard, Scarl, Kelly, Gilchrist, the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Director, Economic Development Director, Law Director, I already said Law Director, Service Director, HR Director, and guests. On the agenda was 2020-80 Squire Patent Agreement, which was previously heard and is a resolution authorizing the Director of Law to enter an agreement with the law firm of Squire Patent and Boggs to provide professional legal services for community and economic development for creation and modification of a tax incentive financing or TIF incentive district and declaring emergency. The focus of the meeting was to amend from the previous discussion. There was a request from some committee members to add a cap to the resolution, which the administration recommended a cap of $25,000. So that recommendation with amendment was approved by a vote to 2-0, and the meeting concluded at 7:44 p.m. Mr. President, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution 2020-80 to include a cap not to exceed $25,000 in Section 1, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to amend Resolution 2022-80 is made by Councilman Limpert and seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Motion to amend Resolution 2022-80 passes by a vote of 5-0.
Mr. President, this concludes my report. If I could have just a moment of personal privilege.
Certainly.
I just want to echo the mayor's point of recognizing the former library branch manager. I had visited the library on numerous of times over the several years before COVID, and he ran a really nice branch, and he was always welcoming and very helpful to everyone. So we're going to miss him. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kelly, Chairman of the Streets and Transportation Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Scarl, Chairman of the Environmental Control Committee. Do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gilchrist, Chairwoman of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Do you have a report this evening?
I do not, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any letters or communications to come before council at this time?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. We will now move into audience participation. Thank you for attending tonight's council meeting. Public comments offer the opportunity for members of the public to share information and bring issues and concerns to the attention of city council members. It is not a debate, and public comment speakers should not expect a back and forth exchange. Council members may ask clarifying questions of the speaker, of city staff, or fellow council members. Those attending city council meetings should show the same respect to others that they wish to have shown to them. And at this time, if there is anyone in the audience who would like to address council, please come to the podium, state and spell your name and address for the clerk. And if you live in a city other than North Olmsted, please state the name of that city and proceed with your comments. You will have up to 5 minutes.
Hello, City Council, Mayor, and constituents of North Olmsted. My name is Bella Sin, Bellasin, and I'm here from the city of Strongsville and also representative of Cleveland, Ohio. I'm here with business owner from Best Damn Tacos. His name is David. I can't pronounce it. Kovacs. And we're here because of September 13, we received a phone call as we had been participating and booked by Mr. David over at Best Damn Tacos to perform a burlesque show at his bar. We received a phone call from a woman impersonating a member of the North Olmsted Law Department, which, nice to meet you finally in person, Mr. Michael. Citing a multitude of codes that are in your city ordinance on the reason why we couldn't perform at that bar. Later on, finding out that this was a fake phone call, thanks to the Chief of Police of North Olmsted and further investigation, we have also found that their constant harassment to Best Damn Tacos over their LGBTQIA shows, their drag shows, has been very apparent for the last year. The safety of LGBTQIA people and people of color has come into play in the city of North Olmsted. Now, we are currently still holding to hopefully debut our event, which does not have drag queens. It's a variety show, which I came with a packet that I also sent to Councilman Mary. So you guys can be, if any questions of what we do as a theatrical practice of over 140 years in American theater, in world theater for 1,000-ish, historian, love facts. But the reason that we're standing here with you today is because we want to make sure that we are not breaking any laws as we're going forward with our shows on October 7th at Best Damn Tacos, and further to address with you the importance of the safety of the LGBTQIA people that serve here. Not only the performers, but the constituents of the city that are attending these shows. We have learned from tragedies like Pulse, along with many others, that this is nothing to go ahead and just not look at or inform yourselves further from. I will go ahead and give the floor now to David, and I'm gonna hand this over to Mary.
Yeah, and David, if you could state your name and address for the record as well.
Hi, I'm David Kovacs. I own Best Damn Tacos at 30111 Lorraine Road. I just want to echo what she said. Just trying to bring a little color to the community and spread love and tolerance, and I just hate to be hindered in doing that. So we just wanted to bring awareness a little bit of to what has been happening, and just make sure hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Councilman?
Thank you for coming and raising that awareness, and I'm comforted to know that it wasn't an actual city issue that we were hindering, so thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to try to make this brief, but I have a lot of territory to cover. Dennis Lambert, 25057 Kerry Lane, North Olmsted. Are you familiar with the word, oh, God, I get my words. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about the school system. And I want to discuss what you probably haven't noticed before, what you're going to notice it now. For the last year, I've noticed babies everywhere, in the park, at the zoo, everywhere. Babies and their parents with 2 and 3 year old with them. For years, we've been hearing from the school superintendent how school is going to fall off. The parents, the students are going to be less and less and less. They're wrong. We've had a pandemic, and guess what people do when they are locked up with nothing else to do? At any rate, you're going to see a proliferation of babies like you've never seen going to school in the next 4 or 5 years throughout this country. This council needs to take a proactive role with the school board. It's no longer the school board and the city. Our old law director used to recommend that when someone would come up and talk about schools. But it's legally, he's right, but civically, he's wrong. This has to do with all of us. And I'm going to recommend that we get on board right away to take care of what's going to happen in 3 or 4 years. We've got St. Richard's, they've got a building vacant. We still have the 2 schools that this new superintendent got rid of. And I've told Nicole, don't do anything with them yet, because he may need to rent them from you. Realistically, this council needs to take a proactive role with the school board. You have an intergovernmental relations committee. Somebody should attend those school board meetings. This school superintendent, like the half a dozen superintendents that have been in this city since I've been here, is a hired person. He doesn't live in this city. He comes to work as though he was going to a Ford plant, and then he goes home to somewhere else. Plans are big. They have big plans. And those big plans are very costly, especially if they don't work out. We need to advise the school board, because the school board is basically young people. So we need to advise them and help get together and work things out. I'll say one other thing and then I'll sit down. I raised my kids in Fairview Park, and one thing about Fairview Park, we had one superintendent. He was a member of the city. He lived on the Coffinberry area. And he was very interested in everything that went on because it was his city too. Unfortunately, this city hasn't had a superintendent like that. So he has to be watched. And I'm telling you, better take a proactive, because realistically, the reason people move here is for their family, to raise a family and do things first and foremost. Then they shop and everything else. But first and foremost, to raise a family. And we've got to make sure this city is prepared for that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Limpert.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. I appreciate your thoughtful comments. I would like to make a comment here where I strongly disagree with an observation you made, and that is that in the limited time that the recent superintendent's been here, I have never seen a superintendent more engaged in our community in regards to participating in community organizations, being present at events, and I just want that to be known. I understand the point you're trying to make, but I completely disagree with the observation that our current superintendent isn't actively involved and staked in the community. So thank you.
If I may, I want to say one other thing. The word I was thinking of is perspicacity. Do you know what it means? it's good that you admit it. Perspicacity is awareness of things around you and being able to put them together. And it comes with time. You don't get it for college, you don't get a degree, you don't get anything. Perspicacity is awareness of things around you, and we need perspicacity.
Mr. President,
Mayor?
I just wanted to correct the record, please. Superintendent David Brand is a resident of North Olmsted. His 2 daughters attend North Olmsted High School. Thank you.
I thought that was the case. Thank you for clarifying.
Hello, Council. Amy Flannery, 6135 Winding Creek. I would just like to come up and say thank you to our water department that gets ridiculed and a lot of negative comments made to them. I had a situation recently where I had storm drainage coming up through my garage. We called and they were literally there in 2 days, and it went from 2 trucks to 4 trucks, and Kevin himself showed up, our new head of our water division showed up, and I just wanted to say thank you because they actually resolved our issue in a very short matter, and if not, it could have been very bad. And I also would like to say that, for the record, this is probably the first time in my 40-some years, as well as being a graduate of North Olmsted schools, that I can tell you that I've seen the city and the schools actually working together, which is very positive. And yes, our new superintendent does live here in the city, so thank you.
Seeing no other I apologize. Jumped the gun.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs., all the council members of North Olmsted, Ohio. My name is Barbara Cool of 6630 West Ridge Road. I've lived there for 46 years. I know some of the mayors, some of the councilmen, some that have been gone, some lost. I knew Mayor Yvonne. And since then, I feel like we've had weak action progressively. And the reason why is the maintenance of the city has been poor. I've told them repeatedly about improvements in the past. And we need to protect our streets because I see that even the plow drivers come up to houses like mine that are in corners, and I live on dead ends, and they plow onto the people's allotments and into their plows, and some of it's old. I'm 77 years old. I'm not capable of getting out there and shoveling everything that they pack into my yard, but they repeatedly ignore our requests and therefore damage my grass, and it's something that I have to resod and reseed. And I've been requesting these improvements, but there's just been nothing in that landscape. And I'm tired and fed up with that. And it's time for that to be improved. And something that has not been good is things like land pickup, like taking to the fields, like dead trees and stuff like that. Nobody ever picks them up. And something that's really made me detested, and it spoils my grass. And I see that it's on the city lawns. I've noticed that it's on the city lawns and it's on the curb. And I can see the bare spots in the city, and it makes our town look cheap. and not affordable in the areas that we should be protecting in our city so that we can be proud of our city. We're paying these extreme taxes. The taxes have increased, the hikes have gone up, but yet the work has not been done. And I noticed like a lot of this, the trees are dead and they're not being cut down. And it's an eyesore in our tree. I've been here in our city, I've been here for 46 years. I'm very tired of it. Another thing is Lorraine Road. The pavement, just trying to drive around it. I feel like I am on an earthquake road driving through it, and it's just been awful. And we need to improve our Lorraine Road. It's a requirement. I'm tired of trying to, go through it. It looks like a shame on our city. I notice in Westlake that they've really taken great maintenance and care of their city and their town, and I want the same for our North Olmsted. I want the same to improve our city, especially when we're paying as taxpayers. Number 3. Something that really saddened me and really just broke my heart. I was driving on Lorraine Road. And I noticed that the sidewalks had ended, and they would pick up further down. And it wasn't right for like women with children trying to cross. There was a woman with a stroller trying to walk a baby. And they were having to go into the traffic, whether it be from snow or just sidewalks that were not finished. And it was just such a tough situation. And whose fault was it? Is it the city's fault? Whose fault does it belong to? Or is it if people are not plowing their sidewalks and getting that taken care of, who do we go to and where do we put up the signs to argue about this? So I was concerned about the safety. From Christ King's Church, Christ of the King's Church, Christ of the King, down, there was just so many blank things. And they're electric poles. And you couldn't get through the road down to the restaurants, and people were just having to go from sidewalk onto the road. And they need to maybe move things that were blocking for safety off those roads. And not just allowing those things to be abruptly in the place to block everything. We need to make those improvements so people and take care of the poles, the lighting poles. And it went all the way down to the maintenance. We must have a serviceman come and check out the road just for safety, for the traffic and the protection of people's lives. It looks to me like people didn't matter, because they were just ignoring the streets. Who cares? It's not appropriate. They were just dismissing, oh, we have these things. No, we need to do it. We need to take care of it. And so I'm finished with that story, but the Dollar General store in North Olmsted? Next from the dairy restaurant, the little restaurant right over the corner. It's just so crowded in that Dollar General. And it's like a mouse trying to creep through there. I feel like it's a fire hazard. And you're really just trying to get through those aisles. It's just too crowded. And that's all I have to say.
Address you or do I address you?
No, I'm just the interpreter. Go ahead.
Okay. My name's Kevin Carney. I'm the service director. We have a program where if you contact City Hall, I'll give you my phone number, 440-716-4136. And we repair any lawns that we mess up with plow. Every snow event, there's 256 miles of road that we have to plow. That's from here past Columbus. And if she snowed in her driveway, we may get to her the next day, but if she contacts me, we have we need to go out and help them after the snow's gone. And also, she can get in contact with the Service Senior Center. They have programs to help people, elderly people with snow removal. And as far as tree branches, 1 week a month, there's 4 wards in the city, we do a different ward every week. And we do it the whole ward entirely. It's not there longer. People have to read when their ward is due to put the branches out. And does she have a phone service? Where we,
Yes.
so she can call me anytime.
But in our lives in 46 years, I just feel, that we're not really making those improvements. I just feel like it's been a cyclical event, and it hasn't been like a strong improvement. I felt that. I feel like we've been dealing with this over and over. And I've worked for the government myself, so I know all the facts, I know the activities, I know what's a good job, because I've been there myself. Because I worked for the government for 40 years. I know what it looks like.
Well, this is new administration, and we're doing the best we can. Give us a chance and call me anytime. And we'll be proactive to help. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seeing no other comments from the audience, we will now move into legislation.
Legislation on third reading, ordinance 2022-68, an ordinance introduced by Mayor Jones establishing the Fix Our Fronts storefront renovation grant program and further authorizing the mayor to issue grants to approved grantees and declaring an emergency as amended.
Mr. President,
Councilman Lippert.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-68 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-68 made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Just for clarification, that is as amended?
It is, yes.
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-68 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-71, an ordinance introduced by Mayor Jones amending the definition of apartment in section 1115.02 of the Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Olmsted entitled Definitions A through B for the purpose of updating definitions associated with multiple residence district uses.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-71 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-71 made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-71 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-72, an ordinance introduced by Mayor Jones authorizing the formation of a community improvement corporation as an Ohio nonprofit corporation and furthering the mayor to file articles of incorporation and declaring an emergency as amended.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-72 and ask for a second.
Second.
A motion to adopt ordinance 2022-72 made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
And that is as amended. Yes. Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-72 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-73, an ordinance introduced by Mayor Jones authorizing the mayor to enter into an economic development agency agreement with the North Olmsted Community Improvement Corporation and declaring an emergency as amended.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-73 as amended. Ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-73 as amended, made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-73 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-77, an ordinance introduced by Mayor Jones providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $1,825,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay costs of acquiring real estate for city purposes.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-77 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-77 made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-77 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-78, an ordinance introduced by Mayor Jones authorizing the issuance and sale of not to exceed $2,180,000 economic development revenue notes of the city under Section 13, Article 8 of the Ohio Constitution, and Chapter 165 of the Ohio Revised Code to pay costs of a project as defined in Section 165.01 of the Ohio Revised Code for the purpose of creating or preserving jobs and employment opportunities and improving the economic welfare of the city and its residents and the state of Ohio, providing for the pledge for that purpose of certain non-tax revenues, establishing certain funds of the city, and approving related documents.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I would like to make a motion to adopt 2022-78. Ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-78 made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-78 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-79, introduced by Mayor Jones and council members Heeman, Kelly, and Gilchrist. An ordinance amending section 941.01 entitled Classifications Established of Chapter 941 of the Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code entitled Refuse Collection.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-79 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-79 made by Councilman Scarl, seconded by Councilwoman Gilchrist. Roll call, please.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-79 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Legislation on second reading, Resolution 2022-80, introduced by Mayor Jones, authorizing the Director of Law on behalf of the City of North Olmsted to enter into an agreement with the law firm of Squire Patton Boggs to provide professional legal services for community and economic development and for the creation and modification of tax increment financing, quote, TIF, end quote, incentive districts, and declaring an emergency as amended. Legislation on first reading, Resolution 2022-82, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer.
Mr. President, I introduce, place on first reading, and request suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings, as this has a deadline at the end of September and is required for tax levies, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and formal committee review for Resolution 2022-82 is made by Councilman Lippert and seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
That motion passes by a vote of 5-0. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address council regarding Resolution 2022-82, please approach the podium now.
Mr. President,
Council.
Seeing none, I move to adopt Resolution 2022-82 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2022-82, made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Resolution 2022-82 is adopted by a vote of 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-83, an ordinance to make and transfer appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of North Olmsted for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Ordinance 2022-84, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to purchase a 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe from Ganley Chevrolet for the North Olmsted Fire Department through the state purchase program at a cost of $45,057, and further authorizing the mayor to execute contract documents.
Mr. President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2022-85, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase a field turf indoor track for installation in the recreation center from Field Turf/Target Sports Company at a cost of $290,031.50 through the state purchase program, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all contract documents.
Mr. President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2022-86, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement for the Grafton Swamp Wetlands Mitigation Bank at a cost of $126,000.
I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2022-87, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement for the Pine Brook Wetlands Mitigation Bank at a cost of $150,000.
I introduce and place on first reading.
Ordinance 2022-88, an ordinance to make appropriations for the turf walking, running track, and field turf capital improvement to the recreation center.
Mr. President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Thank you. Moving into scheduling committee meetings for Tuesday, September 27th, 2022. Councilwoman Williamson, would you like to schedule public safety, health, and welfare?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. President. That would be for ordinance 2022-84, and I would ask that the mayor or her designee be present for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
At 7
Councilman
p.m.
Oh, yep. Councilman Lippert, would you like to schedule building, zoning, and development meeting?
I would, if I could schedule that at 7:05 on Tuesday, the 27th. Actually, Mr. President, I will schedule it at 7:05, but I realized I may have a conflict, so I'll have to make sure that we have the other two members present, or I may request a reschedule, but we'll schedule that at 7:05 and ask that the Economic Development Director and any other of the mayor's designees be present, and that's to discuss several planning, zoning, development cases.
Okay, thank you. And Councilman Lippert, would you like to schedule a finance meeting?
I would. So I will schedule that to follow the building zone development, and that will be, I ask that the finance director and any other of the mayor designees be present. That'll be addressed 2022-75, 83, 86, 87, 88. And that should conclude at 7:45.
Thank you. And Councilman Scarl, would you like to schedule Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings meeting?
Yes, I would, Mr. President. We'll schedule the Recreation, Public Parks, and Building Committee at 7:45, and I'd ask the Recreation Director and any mayor designee that she would so choose to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Councilman Glassburn?
So made.
Second.
Motion to excuse Councilman Glassburn made by Councilman Kelly and seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Councilman Glassburn is excused by a vote of 5-0. Is there a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Councilwoman Heeman?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to excuse Councilwoman Heeman, made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilman Scarl. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Scarl.
Yes.
Mr. Limpert.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist.
Yes.
Councilwoman Heeman is excused by a vote of 5-0. With the agenda being completed and there being no further business to come before council, this meeting of September 20th, 2022 is adjourned at 8:57 PM.